Have you ever wondered if you're being disrespectful without knowing it? It's a question that might make you squirm a little, but it's an important one to ask. We all like to think we're respectful individuals, but sometimes we might be causing offense without even realizing it. Let's take a step back and think about what being disrespectful means. It's not just about hurling insults or openly belittling someone. Disrespect can sneak in through the back door, showing up in our actions, words, and even our body language. It's these little, often unnoticed things that can cause unintentional hurt to those around us. So why does this matter? Well, it's simple. Our relationships, be it professional, personal, or even casual interactions, are built on respect. It's the glue that holds our social fabric together. When we unknowingly disrespect others, we risk damaging these relationships, creating tension and fostering negative environments. To illustrate this, let's consider a story. Picture this: a group of friends are gathered around a table engaging in lively conversation. Suddenly, one person interrupts another mid-sentence to share their opinion. It might seem like a harmless act, a mere product of their enthusiasm. But in reality, it's a subtle form of disrespect. The interrupted person might feel belittled, their opinion undervalued. Now, the person who interrupted probably didn't mean any harm. They might not even have realized they were being disrespectful. But that's the tricky part about unintentional disrespect. It flies under the radar, often unnoticed by the one causing it. Understanding this, it becomes clear why it's so important to identify and rectify these instances of unintentional disrespect. It helps us to become more mindful of our actions, to ensure we're treating others with the respect they deserve. It's about creating a positive, respectful environment where everyone feels valued and heard. Just like in our story, we sometimes disrespect others without realizing it. Let's dive deeper into this. Our first point of discussion is ignorance, a common way of disrespecting others unknowingly. Let's dissect this, shall we? Ignorance, in its simplest form, is a lack of knowledge or awareness. It's that moment when you're unaware of the implications your words or actions might be having on others. And it's in these moments that we often unknowingly disrespect others. Consider this scenario. Chris, a well-meaning but uninformed individual, makes a comment about his colleague's traditional attire. He doesn't mean any harm, but his words echo stereotypes and cultural misunderstandings. His colleague on the receiving end of the comment feels disrespected and belittled, even though Chris had no intention of causing any harm. It's easy to dismiss Chris as insensitive, but the root cause isn't insensitivity, it's ignorance. Chris didn't understand the cultural significance of his colleague's attire, and his ignorance led him to make a disrespectful comment. This kind of situation isn't uncommon. We've all been Chris at one point or another, making an offhand comment or joke without realizing its impact. But just because it's common doesn't mean it's acceptable. Ignorance, while often unintentional, can be a form of disrespect. It sends a message that we don't value others enough to understand their experiences, cultures, or perspectives. It's a disregard for the richness and diversity of the world around us. But here's the good news. Ignorance is not a permanent state. It's a gap in our knowledge that we can fill with understanding and empathy. We can educate ourselves, learn about different cultures, listen to diverse voices, and ask questions when we don't understand. It's about acknowledging our blind spots and working to see beyond them. Remember, respect isn't just about treating others the way you want to be treated. It's about treating others the way they want to be treated. And to do that, we need to understand their experiences, their culture, their perspective. So, let's make a pact. Let's commit to learning and growing, to expanding our worldviews and challenging our preconceptions. Let's strive to understand more about the people around us, their cultures, their experiences, their perspectives. Ignorance isn't bliss when it leads to disrespect. Always strive to learn and understand more about those around you. Next, let's explore how invalidation can be a form of disrespect. Invalidation is when we dismiss, reject, or ignore someone's feelings or experiences. It's like saying, your perspective doesn't matter. This can be especially damaging when it comes to issues that are deeply personal, such as mental health. Now let's imagine a scenario. Picture two friends, John and Alex. John has been feeling down lately. He's been struggling with feelings of sadness and anxiety, and he decides to open up to Alex about it. But instead of offering support, Alex dismisses his feelings. He might say something like, "Oh, come on, John, everyone gets stressed out, you just need to toughen up." This is a classic example of invalidation. Alex is not acknowledging John's feelings. He's essentially telling John that his feelings aren't important, that they don't matter. This is not only disrespectful but also harmful. it can make John feel isolated and misunderstood, and it can even worsen his mental health issues. But why is this disrespectful? Well, respect is about acknowledging and appreciating the value of someone else. It's about recognizing their individuality, their feelings, and their experiences. When we invalidate someone, we're denying them this basic form of respect. We're saying, your feelings don't matter, your experiences don't matter. We may not do it intentionally. We may think we're being helpful by offering solutions or trying to put things into perspective. But when we invalidate someone's feelings or experiences, we're not being helpful. We're being disrespectful. So how can we avoid this? It starts with empathy. We need to try to understand where the other person is coming from, even if we don't fully comprehend it. We need to acknowledge their feelings, their experiences. We don't have to agree with them, we just have to respect them. And remember, it's okay to not know what to say. Sometimes, the most respectful thing you can do is to simply listen, to let the other person know that their feelings are valid, that their experiences matter. Remember, everyone's feelings and experiences are valid and deserve respect. Lastly, consider the role of non-verbal communication in disrespect. It's often said that actions speak louder than words, and in the realm of respect and disrespect, this couldn't be truer. Non-verbal cues such as our body language, facial expressions, and even the tone of voice can convey a whole spectrum of messages, including disrespect. Let's explore this with a real-life story. Picture this. You're in a meeting, passionately explaining your latest idea. You glance over to a colleague and there it is, an eye roll. It's subtle, quick, but it's there. That one action, that split-second movement can instantly make you feel dismissed and disrespected. The person didn't say a word, yet their message was loud and clear. This example illustrates how potent non-verbal communication can be. An eye roll, a dismissive shrug, crossed arms, a turned back. These are all non-verbal cues that can signal disrespect. They say, without uttering a word, "I don't value what you're saying," or "I don't think you're important." It's not just about what we do, but also about what we don't do. The absence of certain non-verbal cues, like not making eye contact when someone is speaking to you, can also be a sign of disrespect. It communicates a lack of interest or disregard for the person you're interacting with. But remember, interpretation of non-verbal cues can vary greatly depending on cultural norms, personal habits, or even the current mood of the person. What one person perceives as disrespectful, another might see as completely normal. It's crucial, therefore, to be aware of your own non-verbal cues and how they might be perceived by others. In the end, it's all about respect, about acknowledging the other person's feelings and perspectives. It's about being mindful of our actions, our body language, and the messages they might send. Remember, respect isn't just about what we say, but also about how we say it and how we act. Non-verbal cues can speak louder than words. Be mindful of your body language. Now that we've identified these forms of disrespect, how can we avoid them? Firstly, we've seen how ignorance can lead to disrespectful actions. To prevent this, it's important to educate ourselves about the cultures, traditions, and experiences of those around us. This can be achieved by reading, researching, or even having open conversations with people from different backgrounds. It's crucial to remember that what may seem harmless to us might be offensive to someone else, so let's always strive for understanding and empathy. Secondly, we've discussed how invalidating others' feelings can be a subtle form of disrespect. This is often unintentional, but it can have a damaging impact on our relationships. The solution here is to practice active listening. When someone shares their feelings with you, take the time to understand and acknowledge their perspective, even if you don't necessarily agree with it. A simple "I hear you" or "I understand how you feel" can go a long way in showing respect for their emotions. Lastly, we've delved into how nonverbal communication can inadvertently convey disrespect. Our body language, facial expressions, and even our tone of voice can sometimes send messages we didn't intend. To avoid this, we need to become more aware of these nonverbal cues. Practice maintaining eye contact, nodding to show understanding, and keeping your body language open and relaxed. These small changes can make a big difference in how our interactions are perceived. In conclusion, becoming more aware of our actions is the first step towards avoiding unintentional disrespect. It's about learning to understand others, validating their feelings, and practicing respectful nonverbal communication. And remember, this isn't a one-time thing. It's a continuous journey of learning and growing, a commitment to treating others with the respect they deserve. Remember, respect is a fundamental part of all relationships. Let's strive